So Davide will present us a bit the framework that Pavement LCM is developing for asphalt mixtures and road pavements. Is that right?
Yes. Can you see my screen?
There you go. Perfect. So whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Pressure. I'm of course happy to be here. And so with this presentation, I really would like to show what we're doing a little bit in Pavement LCM and connect what was presented earlier to show the first part of the project was really developing this sustainability assessment framework for asphalt pavement. I would like to thank the co-author of this work, which is Ana Jimenez de Balco-Carrion from the University of Granada now, but we both work in Nottingham. But there are other partners that I'm going to mention later on. And first of all, let me say very briefly that I've been personally working in sustainability since I've been at NTEC, which is the Nottingham Transportation Engineering Centre of the University of Nottingham. I started there in 2009, 2010, and with different projects focusing on technology development and building decision framework to introduce sustainability. So sustainability has always been at the core. And now very recently I moved to the University of Palermo in Italy, where I'm based now, but I still belong also to the University of Nottingham. So I'm trying to switch, have two houses. And now we are still continuing with a similar approach into Project of SED, where we are doing sustainable development of asphalt technologies together with the evolution of sustainability assessment. And I just wanted to mention that because behind this project, there's always been a vision that it started with the sustainable development of asphalt technologies. So trying to maximize recycling, but at the same time, at the design stage, trying to do the technology development together with the use of life cycle techniques to understand how sustainable was this development. So we did this for the technologies, but the idea is to apply sustainability at different levels. So what we realize that is important is that sustainability assessment need to be partnered up also with the design, for instance, of maintenance strategies rather than new construction of road pavement. So what we know, it's what we call here the preliminary layers, so the design, the planning of the strategies are actually need to be accompanied with sustainability assessment to provide design alternatives that are actually assessed in terms of sustainability performance. And plus best practices that could allow to implement sustainability in practice. And this is what we think can be obtained with lifecycle management. Very briefly, lifecycle management is a management concept applied in industrial and service sector to improve products and services while enhancing the overall sustainability performance of the business and the value chain, also through the collaboration with stakeholders. And that's also the reason why we started a synergy also with the APA, not only keeping SED as our receiver. And this is where Pavement LCM come from. So Pavement LCM is actually as a project that looks at lifecycle management of what we call greener asphalt mixtures and more sustainable road pavement. It's been founded by the call 2017 of the SED Transnational Road Research Program, the call called New Materials. You can have here some details on how to reach us through social networks or through our website. What I wanted to say is that this project is carried out by the consortium that is led by University of Nottingham, but has also partner TNO from the Netherlands, VTR from Sweden, and University of Palermo from Italy. And the aim of this project are several, but really we can summarize in 3 points. One is to create this lifecycle management introduction, how to introduce lifecycle management in national road authorities, having a specific focus on sustainability assessment. Also, considering that this is such a complex topic and synergies needs to be created, we use this project to create a platform to transfer knowledge between the different stakeholders involved. And at the end, we not only provide training, but we also will create a package of guidelines, tools, data sets, roadmaps, and general recommendation to support the road authority in going towards this path, to do the next step. So very briefly, the expected results are a general sustainability assessment framework that is trying to comply with what we've seen before with the standard, but we'll also provide case study of doing sustainability assessment, and also we're trying to work on a methodology to assess durability of some payment components rather than trying to apply the concept also to material development. The standard also asks to deal with uncertainty, and that's what we also define a methodology to deal with uncertainty in sustainability exercise. And at the end, we will then give a package where there will be the guidelines of the Pavement LCM, the framework that we will look now, together with some tools and technical briefs. A couple of them, you already had them. Recommendations to decision making, some roadmap for harmonization of the process. And we're also anticipating what can be introduced in the circularity in road authority. And we recently published a paper on sustainability that everyone can access to. And here there are the references. But let's go directly to the framework. We, first of all, did a state of the art of what is sustainability assessment and what is out there. This is going to be presented in a couple of conferences, LCA 2020 in States in January, while we also asked what is the current implementation of sustainability assessment in road authorities in Europe, and this will be presented in Madrid, hopefully, 2021 live. So from this state of the art, also looking at the interview with the road authorities, we organized then the first advisory workshop that also worked as a place to get feedback from them. And then we defined our framework. Very briefly, the framework is divided in three main areas. The first one is really what is sustainability assessment, just to tell road authorities what we're talking about. That's the reason also we are creating some technical briefs to facilitate this process. The second level is showing them how do we perform sustainability assessment at the framework, work, and product level, as was shown before by Lucia. And at the end, we will provide these tools, this package of tools that can be used to carry out sustainability assessment. Just want to underline that this links to what was shown before. So to the EN 1560643 at the framework level, and then to the other standard also for the calculation method, which is still under development. So we really needed to comply with this, but we basically created our own for this project. And of course, also product level with EPDs. At framework level, what I wanted to show here is that the standard actually talks about conceive the design of civil engineering works by, of course, looking at technical requirements, functional requirements, whatever requirement comes from specification of legal frameworks. And this needs to be accompanied by an exercise, which is a sustainability assessment exercise, that will then translate in communication. So the results of the sustainability assessment will be used to improve the process, but also to communicate how sustainable it's what we're doing. Just to tell you that, to give you a reminder, this is pretty much what we had in mind when we had the vision of a sustainability performance-based management of road pavement. So not only the technical functional requirements, but we do need to introduce sustainability assessment at the design stage or whatever we do in civil engineering. So we based the framework on this concept, and then we look at the different steps that were introduced earlier on by Lucia. And in a deliverable 2.1 that National Road Authority already received, we actually guide them step by step on how to perform sustainability assessment of basically all road pavements, but in particular, we focus on pavement materials and road pavement maintenance activities. So we work through level, and here I wanted to really tell you that the different steps are in the 2.1. Some of the steps will also be discussed tomorrow, particularly uncertainty. But today I really would like to focus on this part, which is the core of the framework. Let's start from the different life cycle stages, system boundary considered. Well, a general life cycle system of production of a product can be summarized in these steps, where we have the material part with the acquisition, processing, manufacturing, use at end of life, and then applying also some circular economy principle, we can reuse, remanufacture, and recycle. Well, this needs to be adapted to pavement and to the standards. So from our review, we find out that in the States, they define a pavement lifecycle assessment framework that will be also introduced tomorrow directly from the colleague who made it. And they already summarize 4 life cycle stages. We have material production phase, construction, maintenance, and rehabilitation all together, while use phase, it's not related with maintenance, but it's more to the use of the infrastructure. And then we have end of life. And really, what they focus on is looking at the pavement. No, is the road pavement their unit. So based on this, we also look at what is there in the standard, and we look at the EPDs. In particular, we look at the EPD of 2013. That was the one that was available when we defined the framework. And as you can see, there are 4 stages here, but product, which is the material stage we saw before, and construction stages do not include the maintenance, which is actually part of the use stage. End of life, it's also present here, but we also have another stage which is basically beyond the first life cycle, no? And it's having strategies for the for beyond the end of life. So what we have is basically 4 + 1 life cycle stage, but then we have also some levels. So here in the standard, what is suggested is to look at the life cycle stages, but also to look at different levels, because we can have cradle to gate, which is more the product level, and some other cradle to gate or cradle to grave with some option. In the new standard, in the new PD that came out in 2019, here basically we still have the 4.1. I'm not going in detail because we're going to see this tomorrow, is the first talk tomorrow. But what we can see here, we have more levels here, and the first one in particular is also end of life as a mandatory level. Again, I'm not going in this detail, but I just want to show you what we did. First of all, we envision what can be the life cycle stages for the whole road infrastructure. And we look at the possible process of the road infrastructure. We can have a new construction, we can have different maintenance activities, we have a dismantling. And the first thing that we wanted to define is that based on the operation we do, the life cycle stages would be different. For new construction, well, if we aim for perpetual pavement, do we really have an end of life of the whole construction? This is something that's why we put a question mark. It's something that possibly shouldn't be considered when we actually build a new infrastructure, but more when we maintain it. And that's why our framework will be really is more focused on the maintenance of road pavement. That is, I'm just saying a number, 90%, by just possibly realistic of what is the operation the road authorities do. So this framework, the scope, it's really to look at maintenance activities, and in particular to look at 2 levels. You remember the standard will give you a different level. And we would like to focus on pavement materials and the pavement maintenance activities, trying to define life cycle stages and indication to perform sustainability assessment for these 2 different levels. And to facilitate the process of road authorities, what we consider is out of scope is basically everything that is beyond the black layer, the asphalt layer. So We're not considering whatever is underneath. We don't consider painting or signals, message boards. So it's not the road infrastructure sustainability assessment, but it's really the road pavement, the black layers. And as said before, we identify two main areas, but they are very much linked. And this slide is possibly tells all. The first level we identify is the pavement materials, which is more for product development, so what we call cradle to gate. And we wanted to identify a specific area. This is because this involves different stakeholders. So we have whoever designed the product, whoever developed the material, the waste manager, the asphalt manufacturer. This is really the realm of the app. And that's why we define a different functional unit, where there is 1 ton of asphalt mixture. We have specific indicator for sustainability assessment. And the concept of residual service life, for us, doesn't make sense here, because a material doesn't have a service life. Of course, has certain properties that allow this material to be used in an infrastructure component that has a service life. But the material itself, we do not consider having a service life. Well, when we go in the area of payment activities, which is really more the asset management and is the realm of SED, no, the national road authorities, this is where we have instead the definition of maintenance strategies. We have road pavement engineers who have work with the maintenance of the road, and road authorities, of course. So it's two different stakeholders that are, of course, connected. Functional unit is different, and the indicators are different. But really, what connects them, and this is what really would like to be a takeaway message today, it's probably EPDs, and how EPDs can be created in one stage and used in the other. Let me show you how we think this can be done. For pavement materials, we think that cradle to gate needs to be the approach. And in Pavement LCM, we really look only at asphalt mixture, but other pavement materials can have a similar approach. So for asphalt mixture, we will have as a raw material supply, A1, aggregates, filler, binder, modifiers, everything that you need to create, not design the asphalt mixture. Of course, you have to transport this material to any place where you manufacture the asphalt mixture. Can be an asphalt plant, but can be also in place. And that is where you actually have your gate, you manufacture your product, and what you have to deliver is an EPD. We want the EPD from you so that this can be used in the further stages from whoever takes care of the road pavement. So for pavement maintenance activities, considering this group, what we will have is at the product level, what we will ask, it's of course still A1, A2, and A3, but really we would like to have it condensed in EPDs. We want EPDs from the technology developer, from the asphalt contractor. They can be used as a feed from the sustainability assessment exercise that needs to be done when you do asset management, which is cradle to blade, or better, cradle to grade. And in this case, we only include, let me give you an example, for instance, with an inlay. So if road authorities have their maintenance strategy, what you will have is a series of lines which each activity that they will have, it can be an inlay, it can be rehabilitation, for analysis periods that covers the service life, the life that you have until the first major rehabilitation. So when all the 3 or 2 layers are removed. So you start with EPD, and then you will need to do the sustainability assessment in this area with the construction, or in that case is the construction of the wearing course, preservation of that layer, and then the end of life transport of that particular infrastructure component. So this is the part of the system boundary. Then to facilitate the implementation of this process, we created some templates for data collection, both for pavement materials and pavement activities. This will be distributed to road authorities. And it's part also of the framework to provide some indication on how to collect data, and this will respect that. Also, very briefly, that we define indicators for the sustainability assessment, and the standard says that this indicator needs to be valid both at product and civil engineering work level, and has to be adaptable. That's why we made an exercise also with the feedback from the authorities and came up with a list of indicators that are not only environmental, but they actually include also economical analysis, and some impact about the society, in this case is noise, and also some, we put it as optional indicators for the environment, in this case air pollution, but also some technical and functional requirements, as we've seen earlier on in the framework. So this is condensed in the deliverable 2.1, but will also be provided with tech briefs. We already distributed a couple of tech briefs to the participants. We will also give you another couple, probably at the end of the workshop, that describe the framework. As Steve was saying before, hopefully it can be also investigated and tailored in other countries. Why not? So as a concluding remark, really, I would like to underline the sustainability assessment of civil engineering works. It is now a standardized practice, and each sector should tailor this procedure to comply with it. What we did in Pavement LCM is to provide said road authority with a sustainability assessment framework for the maintenance of road pavements. We comply with the standard, at least through the 2013 EPD. We are now working also to update to the 2019, but this workshop will serve also to have feedback from you and from the discussion we will have with the APA members as well. And we will provide this framework together with reports and tool. And as a last point, really, it is a paramount important that this exercise happens at different levels and in synergy with different stakeholders, as we've seen. So for pavement materials, we do need to talk with material developer, asphalt contractor, and of course, for pavement maintenance activities, is road authorities that will need to find, some common strategies. So without further ado, I would like just to say that we're doing an exercise to enrich this, what we're doing Pavement LCM, also in a riding community where we are gathering different data to provide better data for the different type of asphalt that we have in Europe and internationally. Whoever wants more information, wants to participate, please go in our ResearchGate page. You can find us. And thanks so much for the attention, and I'm happy to take any question.
Thank you very much, Davide, for the great presentation. Congratulations. I think it's very, very good to see the view of Pavement LCM, especially in this crucial moment that we are now putting a lot of effort, sometimes not being really successful with the development of some standards for the product category rules, and so we are struggling there from the maybe industrial side. So maybe we can, because we are a bit late in the schedule, maybe tomorrow after my presentation, when I explain these difficulties, we can see how we can join synergies and see how together we can push forward all the system. I think it's very important that we are all the stakeholders are involved in this development and this view and this vision, and hopefully we can carry on as you mentioned. We have a few questions that I really encourage you to answer later on, but I have selected one that maybe if you can give an answer in a minute, I would appreciate that. So there's a participant saying, as you mentioned, life cycle cost and environmental assessment is developing in different sectors of the civil engineering. In our sector, the sector of pavement, standards and procedures are starting to consider whole life cycle approach. In my view, one of the main limitations is related to the lack of reliable data, which impact many areas of the assessment, in particular, durability of construction and maintenance intervention. Sensitivity analysis can be carried out to take this aspect into account, but still these limitations create a skepticism about results of LCCA and LCA. Do you have any view on this, David?
Well, first of all, thanks for the question. I reckon this comes from Giacomo D'Angelo from Highways England. Giacomo, very good question. I do agree that you hit the nail on the head. The data and quality of data is very important. And regardless of the technique, whether life cycle costing, LCA, what association like SED or IAPA needs to have, it's a way to harmonize the collection and the quality control of data. They can be made available and possibly also the strategy harmonized, and then benchmarking values or average values can be given for the different exercise rather than databases and data sets. In Pavement LCM, what we are trying to start this exercise by creating some data sets, but really it is important to have frameworks for data management system, basically, that can be overviewed from association like SED and IAPA. That's what I really believe can help not only speed up the process because come from the top, but to have a better harmonization all over Europe to comply with the standard.
Yep. Thank you very much.